What up? Got some things on my mind and we're gonna talk about those things as I get ready for work because I've got clients today.
I like my coffee black, wife too. Don't turn this into no controversy, it's my boo. I can make $250,000 off a haiku, and I can make another quarter off at times two.
Earlier this morning, Jordan and I were just having like some real deep grown woman-ish conversations, and I started talking about some things that have been heavy at the front of my mind, and I thought, you know what? Let's share. Let's get into it. So if you don't compete, then this might not be relevant to you. However, I do compete. I am a professional bodybuilder, and I know a lot of y'all are bodybuilders aspiring to be pros. So this is basically what it's going to be around. And then everything that I'm using is going to be where? In the description box. So if you, what was that? It's in the description box. And if I happen to miss something, let me know. But 9 times out of 10, where's it at, girl? Amen, amen. Okay, so I have achieved my pro card and I am a new pro. At first, I wasn't going to touch on this because I haven't had a full pro season yet. You know, sometimes we feel that, oh, well, because we haven't done X, Y, and Z, we can't speak on something. And that's not always the case. I'm a fairly self-aware girl, so I know when to shut up and I also know when to speak. And yes, I'm a pro. I have not had my full pro season yet. However, I have been around a lot of pros out of my 5 years of bodybuilding and have learned so much. So I want to talk about some things that some people who are not pros might not realize, in particular, like, what is life as a pro? Like, how does it work? How do you feel? Like, what changes? And I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Don't shit change. Nothing changes. You are still the same person. And while, yes, you have made this amazing achievement, it is incredible. It is insane. It is hard. It is very hard to do. And so you need to be very proud of yourself. But what you also need to understand that 98% of the population does not know what the Olympia is. They don't know what a pro card is. They're not even familiar with what bodybuilding is, especially when you are a bikini competitor and someone says, oh, what do you do? And you say, I'm a bodybuilder. They're instantly looking at you crazy, because when people think of bodybuilders, they don't think of bikini. They don't think of bikini. So I think some people have this idea that, oh, once you become a pro, the floodgates open, the clouds part, all these sponsors are going to be coming after you. You're going to get millions of followers on your social platforms. No, and no. Not at all. That is not the case at all. And then especially when you are a new pro, guess what? You have to start over in a sense of working your way back up. And I ain't got no problems with that. I love doing that. That is one of my favorite things to do. I love starting things and just having a goal in mind, especially like that whole started from the bottom, now we're here type deal. Yes, I love that. Absolutely love that. However, on the flip side, new levels, new devils. Pro League is not a game, especially if you have your priorities in check. I'll say this, maybe this will set some of y'all free. It's okay if you want to compete for fun. It's okay if you have no desire to be a pro. It's okay if you just want to do this to challenge yourself. It's okay if you want to get your pro card, have a seat. It's okay if you want to get your pro card, do some shows, not take it too seriously. It's okay if you want to get your pro card, compete at the pro ranks, be a top pro, and get to the Olympia and or be Miss Bikini Olympia one day. All of those things are fine. But the reason why I'm saying that is because you want to make sure that you have your priorities set and you are crystal clear. Especially being crystal clear with what you will and what you will not do, because I do feel that it is important to have some boundaries set, especially for us women. Y'all know I'm the person that's going to say it. When you get to that high level, yes, in bikini, drugs are involved. They are. And I feel like at this point in the game, especially with the way the criteria is, how girls are showing up, we are doing other athletes a disservice not touching on it. This is a part of the process for a lot of athletes. The majority of athletes that you see on stage in bikini, they are enhanced. So with that being said, you need to set your boundaries. You need to have in place what you will do and what you won't do, because bodybuilding does have a shelf life. We cannot compete forever. Yes, I understand we have masters divisions, and I love that. I think that's beautiful, because I think it's awesome when a woman who had kids and maybe she wasn't aware of bodybuilding, and then later in life her kids are a little bit older or they're grown and then she wants to get into it. I think that is dope, because there is a time and place. There is a right time to do bodybuilding, and then there is a wrong time, no matter what phase of life that you're in. For instance, like if you're in college, or if you're in nursing school or something, trying to compete probably ain't the right time, so timing is key. But there is you need to make sure that you have these boundaries set, because if you do not have these boundaries set, you can end up in some dicey situations in regards to your health. Again, at the pro level, at the high level, it is very taxing on the body. There are a lot of things that come along with it. And while yes, it's great, it's cool, you look shredded on stage, everything's fantastic, we are not the pinnacle of health. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people understand either. We look insane. In the grand scheme of things, we are essentially starving ourselves for fun. And biologically, our bodies were not designed to do this as women. We are supposed to have body fat, and our bodies were made to have children. So we are literally going against the grain with that. And the reason why I'm saying this is because at this high level, you gotta push. It does not get any easier. So while it might seem like the pros make it look easy, we might make it look easy, it's not that it's easy. It's that we've been doing it for quite some time. It's like, yes, I'm a new pro. However, I've been doing this for 5 years. So I understand, all right, well, I'm going to feel like this probably at this many weeks out, or this is going to start happening to me. Please understand, pro or not, getting lean is hard for everybody. I don't care if you're someone who thinks your body fat is more stubborn. It's not, sis. Everyone's body fat is stubborn. It's body fat. Just because you are a pro does not mean that it is easier. If anything, from what I have seen from the higher level pros, it is harder. And it's not harder on a physical aspect because you're going to get your stuff done. It's harder on a mental aspect, because here's what you have to understand. You are going up against some genetic elite freaks. At this point, your genetics don't matter. If you are a pro, guess what? Congratulations, you are competing against a bunch of people that have good genetics. So your genetics don't even stand a chance anymore. It doesn't matter. And then, like if you want to go up to another division like wellness, again, a lot of people don't want to say it, like now not only are you competing with genetic freaks, you're competing with genetic freaks that are utilizing supplements, and then some of these girls are getting work done to their bodies. It is very obvious. And again, I'm not saying this to call anybody out. I like to give people a true, real representation of what it is and what is actually happening. And so now you gotta look, and it's just kind of like, you're probably looking at this one girl thinking, well, man, how do I get like that? She don't even really look like that because she's gotten work done on her body to look like that. Now, I have my own opinions about this, because at that point, to me, if you are getting work done on your body, it is no longer bodybuilding. And I know a lot of people feel a way about drugs, and I understand that. But with this, you can have crappy genetics, take drugs, and still get 16th place. It doesn't matter, because drugs or not, you still got to do the work. Just because someone is utilizing something, it doesn't mean that they are working any less. Honestly, they're probably you're able to push to a whole nother limit because you have some supplementation helping you. So therefore, you're still working just as hard, if not harder. And so it's hard to compete against someone who is literally paying someone to make them look a specific way. And so sometimes those lines can get blurred when you're a newer athlete, because I know for me, like when I was a newer athlete, I'm just trying to figure out what's what and what's possible. And that's honestly my main reasoning on why I share the things that I share, because 9 times out of 10, I know athletes aren't asking questions to be nosy or to put someone on blast. They are asking questions to figure out what is possible for them, which is why I am very transparent and honest about what goes down, because I don't want anyone to ever get the idea to think that, oh, well, it's easy, or, oh, well, you can do this X, Y, and Z. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't know. And I also never, share things to push anything on anyone. It's just to be real, because I was naive AF. I didn't know a lot of stuff. So again, going back to that pro level, it is harder from a mental aspect, because now you are literally thrown in a pool with a bunch of genetic freaks. And sometimes, especially in bikini, the difference between first place and eighth place is very small. It is very, very small. Everyone looks good. Everybody looks good at that juncture. And so I'm sure you'll see it sometimes like, well, I don't understand. How did this person not place well? Well, she didn't place well because, hey, guess what? Someone had to get 10th place. And on that day, it just so happened to be her day. It's not that she looked bad. It's just that they are literally splitting hairs, trying to find the tiniest errors, the tiniest little things that they can say, oh, no, push her out. And sometimes it can be something so simple and minute. And then sometimes it can just simply be, you just not it for the day. That's it. And I feel like a lot of times, especially like in that top upper pro level, a lot of the times it's just that you weren't it that day. Nothing more, nothing less. It might not have been anything that you could have done any differently. And that's harder for us athletes, because we're like, well, what can I do better? Well, why did I get this place? And we always want to know why for understanding. But sometimes it boils down to that person just has a better structure than you. Because here's the thing. If someone has a better structure, guess what? They probably gonna take it, especially if everything else is on point. If someone has a better structure, you might just get out structured. If someone has more muscle maturity and density, guess what? That might just be the name of the game. You done nothing wrong. The prep wasn't horrible. There wasn't an error with the peaking, whatever the case may be. Sometimes, baby, it's just not you. And when you are competing at such a high level, of course you want to try to find out, oh, well, what's wrong? What's this or what's that? And a lot of times it's just that you just gotta try again. You gotta try again. Also, this issue is a lot on the body. It is a lot on the body. I did not realize how exhausted I was still until November, because in November was when I started like mentally preparing myself for my prep, because I'm like, oh crap, okay, it's coming. Here we go. It's time. And I don't really hear many pros. Well, I mean, I hear Jay say it because she's very honest. She's like, I need a break. I'm tired. But you don't really hear that much from bikini, because I hate how bikini is marketed. Bikini is marketed as, oh, it's the most sustainable. There ain't nothing sustainable about this. If someone is telling you that this is sustainable, they are out of their minds. I'm here to tell you there is nothing sustainable about this, and this is why girls feel bad post-show because they put on weight. And I'm like, yeah, because you're supposed to put on weight, because this is not normal. How you look post-show, how you look 5 to 6 months after your show, if you haven't, started prepping again or in a caloric deficit, that's normal. That's how you're supposed to look. And so the lines and how you see things really start to get skewed, but you cannot be in a state of off-season prep for a long period of time. I know a lot of pros do it. And I know a lot of them make it look easy. And again, it's not easy. It's just that they have been doing it for so long. But for me in November, I was like, oh shoot, it's almost time for me to prep again. Like, I feel like I just got off stage. Like, what's happening? And I was ready. I was with it. But then when things started happening, it's funny how things happen. I'm honestly, now that I'm like slowly coming out of it, I'm glad that the things that I went through in December and was experiencing happened, because had those things not happened, I would have very well been prepping right now and getting pretty close to show. And I probably would be struggling just simply because mentally I was still tired. I was tired. I was not ready to prep. All things work together for the good. Even when things are not going our way or something bad is happening, you can't see it right then and there. But I am so glad that I had to take some time off because I was just freaking physically and mentally fried and burned out, because I would have very well started my prep that way and it wouldn't have been a good prep. And so while there are some athletes out there that can just go. But what I say to that is, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And just because you can right now doesn't mean that you will be able to sustain that. Because again, our bodies are smarter than us. Bodies are smarter than our brains, okay? And so eventually, if you don't rest the body will stop. And when the body stops, because it's like, hey, I've been talking to you and you ain't been listening, that is not a fun place to be either. Just because you are a pro does not mean that you don't get tired. Does not mean that you have to keep competing or running it. Like, no, you need time off. You need rest. Again, I am so glad that I got somewhere and sat my behind down, because just the whole monotonous and the rat race of, okay, I gotta eat this, I gotta eat that, I gotta train, I needed a break from that. I'm still eating my foods. I'm still training. Like, that is a part of my lifestyle. That will never change, but it's nice for me to go into the gym like, you know what? I want to hit chest today. It's nice to eat and be like, oop, I'm full. I'm not going to eat anymore. I don't want to force feed. Like, sometimes in off season, calories do get high and you have to force feed. Or restricting yourself. It's like, dang, I'm still hungry, but I can't. Like, these are not normal things. Like, force feeding yourself to put on as much muscle as you possibly can is not normal, but then restricting yourself constantly all the time is not normal. So you have these people who are going back and forth, and and I also feel like that is why some people go off the rails post-show, because you've been doing this whole ping pong moment. And what happens when you keep an animal in the cage for too long? It goes crazy, right? So yes, I love bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is not bad, but things that I'm learning as I'm maturing as a human in bodybuilding is, if I'm going to do this, I got to do this in the most sustainable way. And that means I am someone and I'm at a point in my life where I can't keep going the off-season prep. Like right now, I need a break. And I think something else that some people think is, oh, well, if I'm not competing as a pro, then I'm not relevant and I won't do this and I can't do that. I could give a rat's ass about relevancy, because at the end of the day, them people don't know you. They don't pay your bills. They don't care about you. I need to be relevant to myself. You know what relevancy is to me? Being healthy mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So you do not have to be someone that posts all the time around the clock. Like no, if you need a break from that too, take a break from that. Just because you're a pro doesn't mean that you have to constantly all of a sudden be this content creator and always sharing and always do it. Like, no, because guess what? As someone who has been also creating content for quite some time, that gets exhausting too, because guess what? Eventually you are going to need a break from that as well. So I'm almost done with my makeup. Very simple, not much to it. I love these Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Wands. They're my jam. I'm going to put my mascara on because I don't know how I did my brows and was talking at the same time. Look at that. That's pretty incredible. But I'm going to put on my mascara, dry my hair, and then I'm going to work. Whew, my hair, you guys, is just out of control, but it's okay. Like, it's time for a change. We got to do something different here soon, but all finished up. I want to leave you with this. Bodybuilding has changed my life for the better. It has done so many amazing things for me. It has done more good than harm. And the reason why it has been so good to me are because of my intentions with it. This was a conversation that I was having with someone the other day, and she was just basically saying when she's on, you know, she can be on top of her game, and then all of a sudden she just falls off. And I just asked her, you know, well, how long have you been tracking your food at X, Y, and Z? And she said, oh, for a really long time. I said, well, that right there is why you just have these random moments of falling off, because what did I say earlier? Keep an animal in a cage for too long, what happens? They break out. You can't be in a constant state of tracking and dieting and counting calories all the time and macros. Then something else that came up, which comes up for a lot of people, I have a hard time staying motivated if there's nothing on the calendar. It's like, if I know there's a show date there, then I'm going to do what I have to do, X, Y, and Z. And this goes back to intentions. Your intentions aren't pure. That's just simply what it is. Your intentions with bodybuilding are not pure. I compete because I want to, and it's fun, and I love it. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Competing, I've said this before, is my thing. It's the one thing that I do solely for me. No one else can do it for me. It's fun. A lot of people aren't competing with good intentions. For instance, if you're someone who ultimately all your goal is to just be fit, but you are utilizing bodybuilding and competing to be fit, that's the worst thing you can do. Because if you just want to be fit, because what happens is you have fit, and then you have competing. Okay? You've crossed the threshold of being fit. Now you're competing. You're stupid lean. And now in your mind, that is your benchmarker of what fit is. And there ain't nothing fit or healthy about us when we are on stage. And so that's why so many people struggle with it, is because they're like, oh, well, I just need to be lean like that again. It's like, no, because your intentions weren't pure. A lot of y'all don't even have no business competing in the first place. A lot of people like the idea of getting on stage in bikini, but they don't like the idea of what it takes. They don't like the idea of putting on the body fat. They don't like the idea of sitting their ass down and having the off season. They don't like the idea of, hey, I need to eat a little bit more food. They don't like those behind the scenes things. They don't like the idea of, oh my God, I have to train really hard and really heavy. They don't like that. They want the whole big ta-da show day moment, but they don't want to do all the stuff that leads up to it. So if you don't want to do those things, that's fine. In fact, please don't. But you need to be effing for real with yourself and ask yourself, what are my intentions? Because if you just want to utilize bodybuilding to have the best body of your dreams, you are going to fall flat on your face, and it's going to cause a lot of emotional and mental issues for yourself later on down the line. And then of course too, like I say all the time, there is a threshold, like there's a shelf life. And it's not even like a matter of age, it's just a matter of, how much longer am I going to be doing this? Like for me, that's where I'm at right now. I've been going back and forth asking myself, how many times I want to put my body through this? And the answer is not too many more. And that is okay. I feel like, again, that's things you don't really hear pro bikini athletes say, and especially not like a new pro. It's like, oh my gosh, you're supposed to get out here, hit the ground running, do all the shows. And I'm like, yeah, I want to compete. Yes, I want to be competitive. Yes, I would love to make it to the Olympia. But yes, if that doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world, because again, I know my why and my intentions. I just love it. That's it. You know, it's that simple. So check yourself, ask yourself those questions, regardless, you know, if you are a amateur, a pro, or someone who's debating bodybuilding. And I hope that kind of gave you some insight on and clarity and understanding that pros ain't nothing but regular people. When especially like these top pros and stuff, like when they walk out the door, the general public has no clue who they are. If anything, they're staring at them because they look insane. But outside of that, no one knows, all right? Pros are not better than you. Pros do not make you less than. We all use the bathroom the same way. You cut us open, we all gonna bleed red the same way, all right? So I hope that was helpful for y'all. Thanks for listening to me flap my gums. Keep it simple and cast one word net.